revolve around the theme of territory, intangible heritage, and value generation. And our objective is multifaceted, but we are going to analyze some measurements of the values generated by the intangible heritage in the territory. So we aim to explore the concept of intangible heritage and its significance in today's world and how it shapes our identities and communities. Also, we will discuss about the economic dimensions of intangible heritage, illustrating how it contributes to value creation within the territory, and we will uncover the benefits that intangible heritage confers on societies and economies. And finally, I just want to remind everybody that this webinar serves as a platform for dialogue. So if in the end you want to engage with our speaker or share some insights, you are more than welcome to do so. And now, without further ado, I extend welcome to Professor Jesús, and I wish everyone a pleasant session. Thank you.
Good evening for everyone. As the other day, the first thing that I need to say is thank you for this opportunity to share time with you, and also have the opportunity to show my newest research. Today we are going to speak about territory, intangible heritage, and value generation. So I would like to explain the relationship between the intangible heritage and the territory, and its relation is the value generation. It's very important to create value. As you know, it's very important to add value to the products and to the services. And if you add value, you will create wealth. So we are going to share the screen and we are going to start. Okay, so the first thing that I would like to explain is the relationship between value generation and cultural heritage. We have three different perspectives. The first one, the cultural policy. Remember, cultural policy is related with the management of the symbolic dimension as determinant of a territory competitiveness. After, I will show an example with intangible heritage, specifically with flamenco. Okay? After that, you have the temporal perspective. It's very important to differentiate between the past, the present, and the future. The heritage is part of our past, our roots. Okay? After that, we have the diversity of the heritage we can observe in the present. You can observe the Romanian heritage, our heritage in Spain, and we can observe the diversity. And what is the future? The creativity. So, three parts: heritage, past; diversity, present; and creative, future, creativity. We need to create something in order to generate value. After that, you have three measurable value expression. The first one, in the past, we have the cultural value. The cultural value generate an ecosystem to conserve and develop cultural heritage. Enhance people's cultural capital. You can study this cultural value, you can study the heritage and observe and measure this cultural value. In the present, very important, the social value. Remember, the cultural value and the value are multidimensional, and the social value is one of these dimensions. The social value you can observe in the present, thanks to the diversity. The social value promotes the diversity and the inclusion, and also is a source of positive cultural interaction for locals and tourists that improve the quality of life in the territory. the last paper that we published, Professor Aguado, Professor Arbona, and me, we used the specific example of Petronio Alvarez Festival in Colombia. This festival is about Afro-Colombian music. This population, the Afro-Colombian, was not included in the cultural dimension of Colombia. They weren't in a good situation, no? And thanks to this festival, Petronio Alvarez, the situation started to change. Why? Because this festival is in Cali, one of the most important cities in Colombia, is the third city and the most important city of Colombia in the south. And they create a festival where they put in value their culture, their custom, their gastronomy, their music, the handcraftsmanship, and they started to create something new for the population. What is the most interesting thing for that? The social value. Why? Because through the heritage, the intangible heritage, they create value, and specifically social value, because now this festival promotes the diversity between Afro-Colombian people and Colombian people, and also the inclusion of the Afro-Colombian people in the country. And what is the most interesting thing from the point of view of economics? This festival creates an attractive event every August in every year. So they create new income and jobs and contribute to generating a brand and image for the territory as a tourist destination. So the first thing, you are creating income and jobs. And these jobs, the majority of them are for Afro-Colombian people. Very important, because you are including these people in the system. And also very important, to create a brand for the city. Colombia, and specifically Cali is the city of salsa in the world. Okay, they use their feast, their feria, for promoting salsa. The feria of Cali is in December. The Petronio Alvarez is in August. So they create something new as attractive for the tourist people in August. Okay, it's clear? After that, we need to explain two different parts: the supply and the demand. Okay, we study firstly the supply of the festival. The first thing that we organized were the organization and production part. We interview managers and organizers to prepare an economic budget for the event. We knew all the budget for the events. This event, Petronio Alvarez. After that, we designed a survey in order to know the consumption or participation of the local people and the tourist people. And in the survey, we needed to measure the expenditure made by individuals attending in the event to generate an unique and authentic cultural experience. The most important thing here is to understand that this festival is an authentic cultural experience, and it is attractive from the point of view of tourism. The survey was designed for people who attend and people who didn't attend to the festival. So we observe the average per capita expenditure, the non-monetary values such as social and cultural, and also something very important, even if you didn't attend to the festival and you are from the city, from Cali, your preferences are aligned to the organization of the festival. Why? Because all the people, attendees and non-attendees people, understood that the festival creates wealth for the city. In economic terms, but also in cultural and social terms. Okay? And finally, we have data from an input-output model. In the input-output model, you know the resources that are input in this production and what are the output. And we measure between the surveys for the demand, the interviews for the supply, and the input-output model, we measure the impact of this festival in the territory. Okay? What are the methodological innovation of this study? The first one, organizational and production budget and attendee expenditure standardized according to national accounting sector. Second one, identify expenditure leakage in the organization and production budget. 3, estimate number of spectator, unique attendees, and attendees reason for the festival. If you want to create a good cultural policy, you need to know the reasons that make you to attend to the festival in order to improve that. And also the inclusion of the value perceived by non-festival attendees. This is the first research paper that is studying also the point of view of the non-attendees people. Okay? And the non-attendees people understand perfectly that the festival organization is good for the territory because create wealth through jobs and new incomes. And also it's very important from the point of view of the inclusion. Okay? So now we are speaking about territory, and now we are going to speak about intangible heritage. As you know, I'm from Spain and I love flamenco. So I will explain the concept of intangible heritage using the example of flamenco. Flamenco is a cultural good. And what is a cultural good? What are the characteristics? The first one, you need to know that the intangible heritage is reflected in the habits and tradition, reflected in the territory cultural heritage. After that, you have the creativity with the author and also the performance. And finally, you have the perception of the audience. So you have the 3 manifestations: dance, vocal music, and instrumental music, the performance, and finally the song that it will be in the market. I want to explain 2 dimensions today of the cultural value. The first one, the feelings. It is the dimension of emotional dimension of the cultural value, and also the fame or the artist of the artist. It is the brand dimension in cultural value. And I want to know if the people consume live flamenco shows for the feelings or the fame. And also I want to understand the relation between feelings and fame. Okay? What was the methodology that I used for this paper? I used structural equation modeling using a survey we needed to measure the perception of the customer of flamenco about the flamenco live shows consumption. And we needed to know also what are the perception about the fame variables and the emotional variables. For that, we carried out 584 flamenco consumers surveys, and the instruments were distributed by FLAMA, la Guía del Flamenco, el Centro de Documentación del Flamenco, and promocionmusical.es website. We have 5 sections for the survey, and here we have the first results, the statistics descriptive. It's important to know that the sample is more or less compensate 54% of masculine people and 46% for feminine. Also, we need to say that the majority of the people is consuming flamenco for 10 years or more, and the majority of them consume flamenco in the last year. Okay. After that, we calculated the specific bias test. It is the first thing that you need to know when you are applying structural equation model. And after that, we designed the model. We needed to know if the people consume live shows of flamenco or not, and what is the effect of feelings and fame. Feelings is a construct that we build thanks to 4 variables: emotions, reflection of spectators, feel flamenco, and make feel flamenco. We measured these 4 variables in 1 scale Likert scale, 1 to 7 points. And after that, we measure in the same terms 4 different variables: image of the artists, expert opinion, public opinion, and ticket sales level of the artist. And we create another construct, fame. Also, we have 4 different variable control variables: sex, age, academic level, and knowledge about flamenco of the spectators. After that, we applied some different fit of the model: Cronbach alpha, average variance extracted, convergent reliability, and DV. After that, we have the model, and we applied also the bias corrected bootstrap. We had 584 observations, and also we created a subsample of 2000 with the bootstrap model. And we measure also all the fit of the model with GFI, adjusted GFI, etc. And the level was okay for everyone. We have 13 different tests of the fitness of the model, and we passed everyone. So we could observe that the effect of feelings, to the consumption are positive, and the effect of fame in consumption is negative, and also significance. You have significance. And from the point of view of the control variables, the knowledge is also positive to the consumption of flamenco shows. So now we needed to understand why the effect of feelings is positive and why the effect of fame is negative. It wasn't easy because we have a problem with that. Usually, the fame is used in order to create demand. So you use a famous artist in order to attract people to the show. It is the usual strategy when you manage a festival. In flamenco, we understood that it's not like that. And we needed to understand the musicology part of flamenco and also the anthropological part of flamenco, even the sociological. The feelings is very clear because the feelings is the relation between the artist and the spectator. It's a link, okay? And we need to know that flamenco is a minority music which does not attract mass media or mass consumption. Often, the famous flamenco artists are associated with commercial music that is not pure flamenco. It is very, very important. If you don't offer pure flamenco, the real flamenco consumer are not attracted by this festival. And also, it's very important, something new in this marketing literature. The feelings are the unique variable that allow consumers to have a direct relationship with the artist. I like Taylor Swift because she makes me feel something. I don't like Taylor Swift because she is famous. Okay? And we need to understand this relation. And about famous artists in flamenco, the reality is that the consumers of flamenco are not interested in the public or expert opinion. They are not interested on the level of ticket sales. Even they are not interested on the image of the artist. For them, it's not important because they only want to feel something when they are in a flamenco festival or listening flamenco music. Okay? So, finally, it's important to understand the control variables. The academic level is not important. The age is not important. The sex is not important, but the knowledge about flamenco is very important. If you know a lot about flamenco, you will be interested on consuming live flamenco shows. It is consistent. It's something normal. This study now is under review in a very important journal about marketing and destination. Why? Because they consider, the editor consider, in my opinion, that the flamenco and intangible heritage have a very important effect on the territory. We need to understand that the cultural policy of Andalusia, for example, is very focused on the supply part. The public sector is very, very interested on offering flamenco shows. Why? Because the heritage, the cultural heritage is important? Could be. Because our roots are important? Could be. Because the social value around the intangible heritage is important? Also could be. But the real reason is that flamenco create income, create jobs, and create wealth for the territory. For example, in this moment, I am managing a festival in my town, flamenco festival, and at the beginning, this festival didn't have any success. I have 400 seats, and the first year when I arrived, we had only 40 people there. Now we have 400. Why? Because we understood that we needed to improve the offer of the festival. We needed to improve the commodity. We need to improve the technology, the quality of the sound, everything. And if we improve everything, the investment will be profitable because we had 400 people in our town for one day. It's very important, this perspective, the tourism perspective, nowadays for everyone is more important than the cultural dimension. For example, Next Generation EU funds are very focused on the economic impact of tourism. They are very focused on create new products, experiences for tourism, but they are not focused on the cultural heritage. They need to create funds for creating new tourists, but they are not focused on the conservation of the heritage. So, in order to summarize, I would like to say something. These three perspectives, in my opinion, are very, very important. You need to know that the heritage is in your past. The heritage is your roots. I always put the same example in Romania. And the perfect example is the Doina, for example. The Doina is very important. It's your heritage, it's your past, it's your roots. In the present, you need to show your roots, your heritage, through the diversity. Europe is diverse, and Romania is part of Europe. So you need to present that in order to create social value and also cohesion and consistency in East Europe, where Romania is one of the most important countries. No? And finally, you need to use this heritage and this diversity in order to create something new in the future. The creativity, because at the end, if you want to create value for your territory, if you want to generate something new, something profitable, you need to be creative. See, if you are routinary, you will not create any value. You need to create something new, but you can create something new based on your roots. Probably, if you create a Doina festival in this moment, it will not be easy because you don't have all the resources in order to create that. But in Spain, we have some examples. Specifically in Andalusia, we dance sevillanas. Sevillanas is a type of flamenco. It was very popular in the past, but 10 years ago, it was almost death. We didn't listen to sevillanas, only in the feria or in Rocío. But we didn't know to dance that. What happened? The cultural policy changed. How? 10 years ago, the Andalusian government created a program for a TV show for sevillanas. All the people started to listen to watch this TV show, and the sevillanas started to be again popular. The same with the copla. Copla is another musical genre from Spain. It's very typical, it's very important for our folklore. But really, it was almost like Doina. We didn't know, the young people didn't know what is copla. And also the Andalusian government created a TV show, and I think they had 15 editions of this TV show. And now all the people who perform in this TV show nowadays are singers, and they are producing wealth and income and jobs because they are popular. But the most important thing, you need to create a sense of belonging with your intangible heritage. If you create the authenticity, the sense of belonging through the social value using your cultural heritage, you will create economic value for your region. Okay. So, as I told you before, as conclusion between festival and consumption, it's very important to understand that the feelings are the unique link between the spectator and the festival. You can create this link through the artist, if you feel something when you listen to the artist, or among the sense of belonging with your intangible heritage. In the case of Colombia, it was through the Afro-Colombian music. In the case of Spain, through the Sevillanas, flamenco, copla, etc. The people felt that this music is part of them. So for that, it's very important that the cultural managers who produce this kind of shows will know the feelings and entirely and will be able to make decisions that will reach new heights. It will be important to work out the fame of artists from the center of community and belonging, where the feelings and the authenticity will form the basis for developing them, thus achieving a stronger artist brand. So, as I told you before, you need to work in the sense to create a sense of belonging with your intangible heritage. If your intangible heritage is the doina, perfect. If your intangible heritage is the gastronomy, perfect. But you need to create the link between the territory, the tourism, the authentic experience, and the population. If the population understands that the intangible heritage generates value for the region, you will be supported, not only for the spectator, not only for the politician, not only for the European funds, also for the people who don't attend to this kind of shows. Why? Because if you generate wealth, the welfare state could be possible. So now, if you have any question, I will ask with pleasure.
Hello, Professor. Thank you for giving us this opportunity. We are very grateful to you for your generosity to share with us your valuable knowledge, your experience. My question is that how to convince our young generation about our roots, about our heritage. Well, I'm very delighted that all participants are very young, and your message, it's a key message first for them. But it's not so easy, as you said, to convince them about it. How would you suggest us to work with our young generation, with Gen Z generation, to convince them, the members of this generation, to convince them about this intangible heritage, the value of this heritage.
Professor, it's not easy. It's very difficult to achieve that. For example, in Andalusia now, the Andalusian government create the flamenco law in order to include flamenco in the education curricula of the kids. It could be interesting because the majority of the government create supply policies. Okay, you create a lot of shows, a lot of festival, and you create the supply, you offer them. But what is the main problem? Almost the majority of these shows are empty, they don't have demand. So now I think we need to create these demand policies in order to create new audience. The education, I think, is important, but also I think the young people need to feel the intangible heritage as part of their self. It is very important, and in this sense, the family environment is very important also. If you don't speak with your mother, if you don't speak with your grandfather, it's impossible to know this kind of heritage. It is other part, education, family, and finally, I think it's very important also, Professor, the utility. For example, flamenco now is not very popular for young people in Andalusia. It's a problem, but it is very important for the tourism sector. All the shows on Sevilla, for example, are plenty of people from China, from Japan, from United States, Canada, Europe. So at the end, the young people understand that it is important for the territory because create incomes, create jobs, and as I told you before, create wealth. So probably these young people don't listen flamenco at home, but they feel that it's important for the territory because create value for the region. I think it is the strategy, education, family, and economic value. Now we are working also in the sense of the intergenerational gap. And we are studying the relationship between cultural heritage and how can this cultural heritage break this gap. If you want to speak with your grandfather, it's possible to speak about flamenco. It's possible to speak about doina. It's important for this intergenerational gap to use this kind of elements as our roots, our intangible heritage. And we are working in this sense today.
Well, thank you so much. We'll take into consideration, but also I'll invite you to be our expert in mentoring us in working on this issue, because it's not so easy, but we'll try. But we'll try.
Can I also ask a question?
Of course.
Yes, I wanted to ask about how do you consider that what exact legislation maybe could be done in order to safeguard, to say so, the cultural heritage that we have? Because recently I was in Turkey, and I discovered that they actually care so much about their history, about their cultural heritage, that they have a lot of regulations that mostly promote tourism and promote the traditions, not how in our, for example, I discovered that in Romania it's a trend to digitalize everything and to wash away the traditions, and so this is a question for you.
Okay, thank you, Anastasia. As you told before, in Turkey, specifically in Istanbul, it's very important the cultural heritage for attracting tourism. You can imagine Istanbul tourism level without the cultural heritage? It's impossible. It's not easy to arrive to this level of tourism. So now they know that the cultural heritage is the principal or the main attractive for tourism. It's like Egypt. Have you been in Egypt? It's amazing, really. But the cultural heritage there is very, very, very nice. And also they take care of the cultural heritage with a lot of mediums and resources. But why? Because they know that the tourism industry is very important for the country. Okay, so Turkey, Egypt, or even Spain work in this sense. In my opinion, for example, I was living in Romania, as you know. I think you have all the elements to be very important in tourism sector in east of Europe. Really, Bucharest is really nice. Iași is the most beautiful city in Romania. And also you have a lot of services there. For example, for me, as a tourist, when I was in Iași, was impressive when I was in the opera, because the theater is so nice and also the prices are very good. If you want to attend to the opera here in Sevilla, you need to pay 100 euros. I remember when I was in the opera in Iași, I paid 15. So you can see the difference. And also, don't forget the natural heritage. You have the most important reserve of natural heritage in all Europe, the Delta Danube. What is the problem? In Spain, we don't know what is the Delta Danube. This is the problem. We know Istanbul, we know El Cairo, we know Vienna, but really, we don't know Iași. We don't know the Delta Danube. We don't know Bucharest. So you need to create a strategy in order to attract the attention of the tourism. For example, very, very simply. Now, Albania. Do you know Albania? They are creating a brand image for the country. And they are speaking about European Maldives. 2 points. Albania. They are working in this sense. And now, I love traveling, no? You have the opportunity to go to Albania and you study your budget. For 1,000 euros, you will be 1 week in Albania. If you want to go to Maldives, you need 6,000. So Albania is very cheap if you compare with Maldives. And they have a lot of natural heritage also. Even they have Roman Empire heritage. They have theaters from Roman Empire, etc. And I think that Romania has the perfect diversity, the perfect culture, the perfect nature, and the cultural heritage to attract tourism. And also, it's cheaper to make tourism in Romania than make tourism in Vienna or make tourism in Spain. So you need to create a good strategy in order to use all the elements in order to attract tourism. And the promotion is very important.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anybody have another question?
I would like to say, if you need something or if you want the materials or you have any question, you can write to me. You have my contact, and it will be my pleasure to help you in whatever you need.
Thank you so much, Professor. I'm pretty sure that our students will be very delighted to receive more information, more materials, if you are so generous to send to us. Thank you again for this opportunity. We really hope that we'll continue to share your knowledge and valuable expertise with us in next events. Thank you so much again, and have a nice evening. And,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor. For me, it was a pleasure to participate in these seminars. And the opportunity was for me because, as you know, I love IAS. I love Alexandru Ioan Cuza, din IAS, University, din IAS. And whatever you need, I'm here, ready to help. And really, thank you very much for this opportunity. Have a good
Thank
evening.
you so much. Thank you.
Thank you to Professor, and one more mention to everyone that after this webinar, we will check the attendance list and we will send all the certification that we promised. And thank you again for this wonderful opportunity to dive deeper into the sustainable world, because it was really an impressive experience for us. We didn't even know about how important and how the economic side could link with cultural side. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Anastasia. It's a pleasure.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.